It's fantastic to have you here. I guess the most obvious question, what was it about this character in this world that excited you so much as an actress?
I really love that you got to watch Tris become strong, and that she didn't know what she was doing in the beginning of the film, and at the end of the film really had this new sense of empowerment, and I think it was sort of a great example for young women out there, and any woman, really.
You've got a fantastic chemistry with Theo on screen. Can you talk about working with him and particularly what his character brings to yours?
Yeah, I mean, one of the nicest things about Theo is that he's a dude. You know, he's like a dude's dude, and that's very rare to find in an actor. And he's also just a really good actor, and so that we were able to be open and reactive off each other. You know, he didn't premeditate too many things, which allowed for a lot of organic moments to happen.
Of course, it's a brave performance. Were there any scenes in particular that were especially challenging for you and made you a little nervous?
Yeah, you know, actually fighting Theo made me a little bit nervous because he's quite strong, and so I was afraid that maybe he actually would knock me out.
What are you excited about looking forward to the next films in the series? Because again, I mean, the books just keep getting better and better, and we can't wait to see that.
Yeah, the next one I think is going to be darker and more psychological in a way, because Tris is dealing with guilt and with loss and with grief, and so I'm excited to explore that side of things.
And is there one faction that you'd say you particularly identify with if you had to define yourself in some?
I would say Dauntless, yeah.
Can you just start by telling us what the inspiration was for this world you've created and how close what we see on screen is to what you had in your mind when you were writing?
Well, the original inspiration came because I was in a psychology class my freshman year of college, and I was learning about exposure therapy, which is a method of treating anxiety in which someone is repeatedly exposed to whatever provokes their fear until they become habituated to it. So basically they get over it through repeated exposure to it. And I wanted to use that in a sci-fi way. So that's why we have these simulated realities in which people are encountering their fear like kind of a waking nightmare, and that was interesting to me. So that's where it came from. It feels very familiar to me when I watch it, but it also feels like a rediscovery of this book I wrote, you know, a while ago. So it's been a great balance of, you know, like very true to the book, but also a new thing in and of itself.
Can you talk a little bit, obviously, about Theo and Shailene in the lead roles? I mean, how magnificent you think they are as a fit for the characters you've created?
God, they're the best. They did such a good job, better than I even dared to hope for, I think. Their dynamic is perfect. They have great chemistry. They're really nice people, so it's all good.
What are you most excited about looking forward to the next two chapters, which we have had confirmed we're going to see on screen as well?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm mostly currently just still stunned that they're moving forward with the second one. I don't know. I'm a defensive pessimist, so I'm like, it'll never work out until it works out, and then I get surprised by it. So, but I'm excited about the second book because it's very action-packed and it's got some really interesting shifts for Tris's character. So I'm excited about that.
I have to ask, is there one personality trait, one faction that you would say you lean towards?
Oh, God. I would hate to choose any of them. I feel like I don't quite fit into any of them because I'm not nearly a good enough person. But I think if I had to, I would choose abnegation, the selfless faction, because I think it's important, I guess. But I would probably defect. I couldn't handle it. I don't know.
Are you writing anything else at the moment, or is this just the film adaptation kind of consuming your time at the moment?
Well, I wrote a collection of short stories about 4, and that comes out, I think, in July. So I'm still editing that. Yeah.
Of course, I mean, Thor's such a fascinating leading man. Can you talk a little bit about what you think he represents and what was inspiring specifically that character?
Well, I think he's interesting in that he's like ultra masculine, you know, but he has this real sensitivity to him. He has this deep respect for Tris and for, you know, for other people, and so he's got this kind of softer side, and he has these things that he's really struggling with. And when I write from his perspective, I kind of see that he's really thinking about the deeper things of this world, and so to me, all those things in combination is very, very interesting. Yeah. It's pretty awesome, a little overwhelming, but in a good way. I don't know. It's great. It's very exciting. As you can tell, I'm like, a little wired.
Now, though, because after the other premieres and...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you get used to this. If I do, then someone needs to kick me really hard.
You're going to have to, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Are you happy with how this movie has turned out? Is it everything that you hoped it would be?
Yeah, I mean, what I was hoping is that it would just be a real joy to watch, and I think that it really is. I mean, it's funny, it's got it's greatly well paced, you know, it happens really quickly, the characters are really well realized on the screen. I mean, I don't know, and it's beautiful. It's the landscapes and everything, they're beautiful.
Is there something in the movie that wasn't in the book that you think actually that why didn't I do that in the first place? That's really amazing.
Well, I think there's a little more Janine Matthews, who's obviously played by Kate Winslet. And that's great. I mean, first of all, because Kate Winslet, but second of all, because I think it's good for the antagonist to be a little more present on the page. And if I could go back, I might put her in a little more, yeah.
So where does it go from here then? How involved are you in the two other movies?
Well, I, for this one, was writing the third book when they were making it. So I was kind of like, okay guys, like I trust you, let you guys make movies for a living, like go ahead. And I think that dynamic, where I'm open to conversation with everyone and people can ask me questions, but mostly I sit back and let people who do this for their job do what they do best. And I like that balance. I mean, I'm like present, but not like super involved. So I think it's a good, and I get to write with all that free time. So it's good.
It's been very quick. The first book was published in 2011, so this is only 3 years for 3 books and a movie.
It's kind of nuts. Yeah, I'm not sure how it happened or how we got here, but I'm glad.
I wanted to play this role because it was something so completely different to anything I've done before. You know, she's very evil, and she has a sort of a scientific brain. So, that was just something very new to me because I'm not particularly scientifically minded, I have to be honest. And it was just exciting to be a part of something that was so fresh and new and just a very different genre for me as well. And also something, to be honest, that my kids can see and tell their friends to go and see. And they've all read the book. And so suddenly I'm like scoring a few mum points, which is quite good. I am suddenly cool mum, yeah. I have fewer and fewer bad mum moments in the house right now.
Was there a moment in your early years where it proves that you were destined to be an actress?
Oh my God, I don't know. I just think I've been really lucky. I mean, I do remember being very little and wanting to be an actress. I mean, I think when I was 5 or 6, I remember thinking that was what I wanted to be. But then I think 2 years later, I also wanted to be an air hostess. And then 2 years later, I wanted to be a hairdresser. And so I just have been very lucky. I think when I was about 11, it became clear to me that I really did want to do it. And I've just been fortunate. A lot of people want to be actors and they never actually become an actor, so I've just been really lucky, really lucky.
Can you start by telling us a little bit about your character Will and where he fits into Divergent?
Yeah, Will is a very clever guy. He comes from erudite affection and he's got all the statistics, all the logic, but he's got a great sense of humour as well. And he becomes very good friends with Tris, played by Shailene, and Christina, played by Zoe Kravitz, and there's a romantic story with Zoe's character as well.
What do you think it is about this world that Veronica's created that seems to have captivated readers and now filmgoers so much?
It's a big question. There's so much about it that people relate to, but for me, I think it's that world of young people choosing their future, and that was a great concept and a great hook that got me into the film and the script, and it's one that I really kind of got lost in.
What's it like working with other great young stars like Theo and Shailene?
It's amazing. Theo and Shailene are just great people, so it's cool to be, to be hanging out with them, and they're all going to do great things, and it's good vibes. Well, I met some girls who were like, we've been here since 8 in the morning, and it's Mother's Day. So you think Mother's Day, well, like, are their mothers a bit annoyed that they're not here? They're here from 8 in the morning. I know my mum would be gutted. So it's amazing that anyone has even shown up. So I want to say hello to everyone and kind of greet them.
Are you ready for the craziness of what's this going to bring then, being a part of this?
I don't think I'm ready for anything, any craziness. I'm just trying to kind of take each day as it comes. I've done a few of these screenings and they don't get any more normal, but they do get a little less scary because you can maybe know what to expect. But I try to keep my head down, and luckily I'm not on social media, so I can't get too above myself, above my station. Anyway, they're all here to see Kate Winslet and Theo James anyway, so they don't know who I am.
Was there a feeling on set, though, that this is going to be, you're part of something big, that this franchise is going to be huge?
You know what, so many of the actors were, even though they were young, they were really experienced, and there are people who've been part of franchises or whatever that means before, and so most people were really down to earth in terms of, it was just about telling the story, and it was about going to work each day and not thinking about the end product, but just thinking about what we were doing each day. And that was led by someone like Shailene, who's such a good actor and such a hard worker that it kind of kept everyone on the ground, yeah.
So was there a bond that you had then as a cast, do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it was an amazing shoot. We shot in Chicago, which was such a privilege because it's where the book was set. So we all went out and hung out in Chicago and got up to, you know, things. And I would say that whatever happened, we always were there 6 in the morning on time, and we had a boot camp beforehand as well, so it meant that we could train together and get to know each other, then break the ice.
It is so fantastic to be here. I love London, and so to have this kind of welcome here is amazing.
Transforming such a popular book to the big screen, did you relish that pressure?
Yeah, I kind of did, actually, and I felt, you know, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't like the book, and if I didn't think that the book was a movie, you know. And so you know, there's always the worry, like, are the fans gonna, you know, have a problem because you've left something out? But we were really faithful to the book, and I think, you know, in general, the fans have been really happy with the adaptation.
And you've cast some amazing Brits.
Yes, we have. You know what? We just look for the best actors wherever they come from, and a lot of them come from here. So, yeah, we've got Ben Lloyd-Hughes, we've got Kate Winslet, we've got Theo James. You know, it's fantastic.
Do you think after here, then they're gonna go huge, aren't they? A bit like Twilight did, a bit like Hunger Games.
I mean, I think so. You know, if you particularly think about Theo, he's just a star that's just about to explode. He's incredible. But Ben Lloyd-Hughes is a great actor. All of them. Jai Courtney, an Australian. He's amazing, and I mean, not even that's forgetting about, you know, not even to mention Shailene, and you know, they're all incredible. Every single one of them. Christian Madsen's a really good actor, and you know.
What is it about Theo then? Because everybody so far has mentioned how good he is. Why?
Well, you know, sometimes it's kind of this ineffable thing that you can't quite put your finger on it, but I always say that he's kind of a combination of Paul Newman and Bruce Lee. Paul Newman, that he has this incredible, this grace and these great acting chops, and then Bruce Lee, and that he's slightly exotic and he can really fight, which is what Theo can do.
And a dream having Kate as well in this film.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. To have Kate is, you know, she's one of the best actresses of her generation, if the best actress of all time, really. And so it's so exciting to have her in the movie and doing something kind of different and fun. It was great.
Biggest challenge of adapting a book to film, do you think?
I think just fitting it all in. There's so many characters and so many events in the movie, and it also has an interior voice of the protagonist, of Triss, and to try to tell it from her point of view and to make all of that stuff, turn all that stuff into action was a real challenge.
What was it about this world that Veronica's created that made you so excited to realize it on the big screen?
Well, I think I just really like the journey of this character, who goes from somebody who's rather ordinary and seems like she's the least expected person to to survive in this culture, and then she's not a superhero. It's through hard work and through just like sheer willpower, she puts herself together and does survive.
I mean, can you talk a bit about casting Shailene and Theo? I mean, two extraordinary young talent.
Shailene was easy. Shailene was the one I wanted when I signed on, and then Theo that was great, and we asked her to do it, and she went for it. And then we thought, okay, that was easy. Now we'll just get 4, and then that wasn't easy. It was really hard to find. There's a lot of really good actors out there, but to find just the right one that fit with Shay, and it took us months and months and months to find Theo. And I don't know why we didn't discover him right off the bat, but when we did, we were really excited.
Fantastic to have you here at the European premiere. Can you start by telling us a little bit about Thor, because he's such a complex combination of elements in this character.
Yeah, this is vodka, by the way. No, kidding. What I loved about his character is he is very complex. Like, essentially he's got a very dark past, and when you first meet him, he's a man who you're not really sure if he's a good guy or not. You're not really sure which side of the line he sits, and he's not that empathetic to anyone, and thus not necessarily that likable. But then through the course of the movie, you start to realize that he's a really interesting, humble person motivated by nobility. He's a kind of old, kind of general soul in a way. I like the idea of a bit of Maximus to him. My fear landscape would probably be getting ripped apart by frenzied tiger sharks. Yeah.
Can you just talk to us a little bit about working with Shailene? Because obviously you guys have such a dynamic relationship, and it's such a big part of this trilogy.
Yeah, she is a really good friend, and we really connected. I mean, she's also a much better person than I am, so she's constantly making me better. But No, she's great because she's really, I mean, not only kind of in terms of her environment and how she kind of perceives the world, but she's also a very grounded person. So that really helps in terms of being close.
What do you learn from Kate?
Not only is she an awesome actress, but she is totally down to earth and totally cool, even with the amazing achievements she's made. So that is amazing. My reaction, to be honest, I think it's awesome because this is the first European premiere, it's the first UK premiere. I've been in America, we've been doing a big American tour. We've been in Mexico, and finally to be home, finally to be here with all my friends and family watching the movie, I think it's really gratifying, exciting.